to Umineko no Naku Koro ni, coming from my new place. And joining me, well, from now on, Kit will be joining me. Yeah, joining me is Kit, who's going to help me so that way my throat doesn't die. Yay! Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and start. Yes, the beach.
Everything about this just reminds me of like a really good painting. Color and acrylic. It's just like a really good painting. Like you can see the brush strokes and everything.
Oh, did OBS crash on me? No, it didn't. Twitch is just being weird. Okay. So, on the 10th twilight, the journey ends, and you reach the Golden Land. You really are diligent, Maria. You did a good job writing this all down.
I forget a lot, so I always write things down. Mama told me to.
There was a notebook inside the handbag Maria was always carrying around, and Beatrice's epitaph was copied onto it. Thanks to that, we were all able to challenge the puzzle of the epitaph while walking down this beach. Jessica and the rest had already tried to solve it several times, and had already gotten bored with it. However, since this was a first for me, I was so excited that I couldn't stop. It really tickled my sense of adventure. Let's start with the first line. Behold the Sweetfish River running through my beloved hometown. Where was Grandfather's hometown again? I heard that before the war, the Shiromiya family had a mansion near Odawara. Which makes you want to know which Sweetfish River flows through Odawara, right? Yeah, 'cause that river would be the starting place. Anyone searching for the Golden Land would head down that and search for the key. What's this river in Odawara? Does it have sweet fish swimming in it? Maria, you'll understand when you get a bit older. Lick salty roasted sweet fish. Yummy! Even though we just ate, I'm getting hungry again. You're such a fucking kid, like...
Excuse me, sir.
Shall I bring you a biscuit? Huh? Oh, sorry, that's not what I meant. Don't mind it. Shannon-chan was faithfully keeping us company, since she didn't have any afternoon chores for a while. I would have thought that, since she's a servant, accompanying us would force her to take care of us and tire her out, but that didn't seem to be the case for her. On the contrary, she seemed to enjoy joining in on a conversation with people close to her age. When I asked, I heard that she was the sort of worker whose room and board were supplied by her employer, so normally the only person close to her in age was Jessica. Yeah, I can imagine how that might be pretty dull. Wow, that's so mean, like...
Excuse you, she works for a living.
Like, Jessica's not that bad. Like,
Oh my god.
Battler. Okay. Okay, so I get that the sweet fish-filled river near Odawara is Hayakawa. In that case, we've got to go down it. Do you find anything if you head down Hayakawa River? If you follow it downstream, you'll arrive at the ocean. Of course, you'd reach the mouth of the river. And the third line of the epitaph was, as you travel down it, you will see a village. By the way, since long ago, the mouths of rivers have been key points of transportation, and large cities tend to be built there. That'd be the next checkpoint. I think I might have gone to Odawara Castle on a field trip once. It really was a wonderful castle. Yeah, I also went there. Even though I live in a Western-style house, it's true that Japanese people feel calmer with a Japanese layout.
Castles are boring. Theme parks are better. I'm sorry.
She's...
The very fact that she's just like, theme parks are better. There are castles at theme parks, though.
Right? I love castles. I hate roller coasters, so if I had to pick between the two, it would be I would go with the castle.
Like, even at the Hello Kitty amusement park, there's a huge castle there. It's really good.
Mhm.
Please take me back. It's just gorgeous.
I see. Okay. If we find the gold, the Great Battler Sama will generously reserve a whole theme park for your day and let you play in it. Still, Odawara Castle, huh? The hidden gold of Odawara Castle. Oh, it's actually starting to sound pretty good. Well, we figured out that much 2 years ago. The village down the river where the sweetfish swim in Odawara. We figured it was probably somewhere near Odawara Castle. The problem is the next line. Okay, let's see where Battler's strange reasoning can take him. Jessica grinned broadly. She seemed to be implying that she would have solved the puzzle long ago if it was that easy. No, it's really hard. I couldn't do it. Damn it.
I only got like one thing from it, but it goes back to the fact that you have to understand Japanese.
Yes.
It's
Yep.
like, wow.
Damn it, I'll definitely find it and keep it all for myself. The fourth line. In that village, look for the shore the two will tell you of. I don't know what it means by the two, but anyway, the shore... What does it mean by the shore? No, wait. Is there any place near there with shore or kishi in its name? I've heard there's a place called Sokakishi in Odawara. Huh? Wow, you sure know a lot about it. What could that mean? Shannon-chan, are you trying to solve the riddle and get the gold too? That makes us rivals. It's not like I'm interested in gold. It's just that George-sama told me about it before. That's because we reached the same conclusion 2 years ago. We even went to the trouble of laying out a map and looking it up.
It was about 5 kilometers to the north of Odawara. We definitely found a place called Sokakishi there. However, after that we get stuck. The fifth line doesn't say where the key is hidden in that place. Maria-chan, could you read it for us? There sleeps the key to the golden...
Sokakishi is probably large, and there wasn't ever any house built there by the Ushiramiya family. Not much we could do to find a key in such a vast area without any hints. You're right. And without the key, we can't advance to the next line. George and Iki, what kind of place is Sokakishi? Something doesn't feel right. You'd expect a riddle pointing the way to hidden gold to be a bit more exact. I get the feeling that even the part about Sokakishi was a mistake. Well, I think it could be Sokakishi. It could be talking about some house that grandfather lived in when he was a kid that we don't know about. After all, the first line mentioned his beloved hometown. Shannon, you've served grandfather alcohol and stuff lots of times, right? Hasn't he ever talked to you about his past? The master almost never speaks of the past. However, he talks of the Great Kanto earthquake as though it was someone else's story. So he may have been living far away from the Kanto area.
I always get get tongue-tied when I unpronounce the family's pronounce the family name.
You could do it. I believe in you.
The Ushido Miya family may have been living in Odawara, but not all of the branch families were. Grandfather often called himself part of a branch family. The least connected to the successor. So he wasn't even the successor.
No, remember when they were talking about his like origins, they were saying that like hold on. I don't think chat's working in Twitch right now. Let me restart this. There it goes. Okay. So if you guys were saying anything in the chat, I apologize. I did not see it. Anyways, when they were going over like talking about how he became so rich, basically during the Kanto earthquake, it killed the whole, like, the successor family, like, all the really, like, important family members, and the only person left with the Oshiromiya name was Kinzo. So it really was kind of like a total, like, just crazy, like, roulette, luck of the draw type of thing that would never happen in, like, a million years, so... Yeah. And that means the beloved hometown might not even be Odawara at all. I've never heard anything about Grandfather's hometown, and I doubt he'd actually tell me if I asked. Maria had been completely left out of the conversation, and she now sat puffing out her cheeks in boredom. So, basically, if we can't even agree on the starting point for this dice game of gold, we're totally stuck. But wait. After the first 5 lines, the thing we end up finding is a key, right? Even if you don't have a key, it's always possible to bust through a door. Can't we just skip the first 5 lines and start figuring out the rest? Oh... I hadn't thought of that! Oh well, we're just wasting time anyway. Let's hear the rest of Battler's reasoning. But in the next part, it gets dark really fast. Shen-chan frowned slightly. After looking back at Maria's notebook to recall what was written there, yeah, I was forced to agree. On the first twilight, offer the 6 chosen by the key as sacrifices. It sure does get horrible quickly. On the second twilight, it says to tear apart the 2 who are close. Does that mean to make them break off their loving relationship? Or does it mean to literally tear them apart? I don't know, but either way, it's pretty disgusting. I see. Sacrifices to restore the witch. Yeah, that's what it'd mean. Near the end, the witch will be revived on the 9th twilight. That last part is guaranteed. On the 9th twilight, the witch shall revive, and none shall be left alive. So everyone will die in the end. And after that, the 10th twilight is the goal line. Not sure how you're supposed to reach the Golden Land if everyone's dead by then. But at the end, there's something pretty interesting. After reaching the goal, the witch gives up 4 treasures. One shall be all the gold. The problem is the next one. It says the dead souls will be resurrected, right? Doesn't that sound like it means everyone who died in the earlier lines? If you put it like that, then the part about reviving lost love might refer to the pair torn apart on the second twilight.
That's right. Fourth treasure is putting the witch right on the ninth planet to sleep.
If we put a happy spin on all this, it'll be hectic with people dying and breaking up all over the place, but it'll all be made right in the end. The awakened witch will sleep again, and everything will be like it was at the start, except with a huge pile of gold. The witch must be pretty busy, what with all the killing, reviving, breaking up, and reuniting people. Not to mention waking up and sleeping. Sheesh, just when the tale of the hidden gold was getting interesting, it all gets pretty dubious once the witch starts showing up. Too true! I laughed along with Jessica. After all, the idea of a witch was just too ridiculous. Of course, once we started laughing like that, Maria, who believed in the witch, got angry.
The witch is incredible. She can do anything with magic. Even kill. Even bring back to life. Even give love. Even take it. She can fly in the sky and become invisible. Can even make gold and red out of nothing.
Dane, my bad. We were just joking. Jessica apologized, sticking out her tongue, but Maria didn't accept it. She grabbed her notebook back out of my hands and, opening to some other pages, tried to prove that the witch existed. Those pages had colorful drawings of witches on them, and well conveyed the fantastical image Maria had of witches. It wasn't the normal sinister image of a crooked-nosed hag flying around on a broom, but a dreamlike person with unnatural powers who could do anything and wore a beautiful dress. It was just what you'd expect from an imaginative young girl. Flitting through the sky, crossing a rainbow, dancing around all night with a teacup and a teapot that would never get empty no matter how much you poured out of it. With a flourish of her staff, the stars in the sky would become candy and pour down, and flowers that produced sweets would bud by the roadside. To Maria, witches were the only concept that could embody the magical dream that so captivated her. As she grew older, it was the last remaining thing that could give richness to her dull and plain everyday life. That's why Maria believed in witches. She didn't want that dream of hers to be tarnished. That's why she didn't want anyone to tarnish the epitaph which affirmed the existence of witches. Because a witch named Beatrice is Maria's dream. So it was a single link between Maria and the witch. Maria was very angry and clung to George and Nikki. Jessica and I scratched our heads and apologized. It might not be possible to smooth things over again like the time she got mad in front of the portrait. Maria didn't seem willing to be easily consoled. Unlike Jessica and I, who hung our heads wondering what to do, Shannon-chan timidly opened her mouth. Maria-sama, did you know? There's a ghost story about Beatrice that has been passed down amongst the servants. Yeah, that's right. Shannon, tell us about it. I don't really know, but it's apparently pretty famous among the servants. What is this? A ghost story?
Yes. It seems the story from before we were born. I also heard about it from my mother.
Yes, it has been passed down since the time of the mansion's construction. The servants of that time whispered that the mansion had two masters, one of the day and one of the night. The tale that Shannon told was just like a typical campfire ghost story. If there was a forest with a witch living inside it, I almost said forest witch with a witch. Then of course the witch would come pay the mansion a visit from time to time. At some point, this ghost story naturally sprouted up between the servants. When people do the rounds a second time to check doors, windows and locks that were supposedly closed they'd find some of them left open. Lights that were supposed to be off were turned on, and lights that were supposed to be on went out. Things left lying around would disappear, and things would appear when no one had any memory of putting them there. When any of these things happened, the old servants would say that the witch had visited the mansion, invisible, and was playing pranks. Yeah, she exists. Long ago, it was always right before leaving for school that I wasn't able to find my bag and stuff. Maria puffed out her chest with an ooh-ooh as though this was vital proof of the witch's existence. If I opened my mouth, Maria would probably be heard again, so I didn't. Right? I mean, you hear this kind of story everywhere. Depending on the place, they might blame it on a dwarf or an elf. The only difference is that they call it a witch on this island. Of course, walking around a vast, elegant mansion at night would be a little unsettling. It's an island devoid of people. Since the mansion is so drafty, walking around on the night of a thunderstorm must certainly be eerie. In addition, some servants have also seen will-o'-the-wisps and glittering butterflies dancing around. Kennen-kun also saw something like that when he went patrolling one night. And recently, you often hear servants talking about strange footsteps heard inside the mansion near midnight. We've whispered together that the Beatrice-sama in the portrait sometimes makes herself invisible and walks through the mansion. It happened a while ago, but even I have heard footsteps while patrolling at night that resemble these stories. Whew, that's scary. But there's nothing to be afraid of. Beatrice-sama is another ruler of this mansion, separate from the master. So there's no need to be unnaturally afraid. If you respect her, I hear she won't do anything bad.
However, she can be quite terrifying if you don't respect her, right?
Correct. I've heard that just before I began working here, someone who spoke badly about Beatrice-sama fell down the stairs and quit after receiving a large injury to their back. Because of that, there was a rumor between the servants that Beatrice-sama's anger had been brought down upon this person. I'm sorry! I don't want her anger brought down upon me. I apologize, Maria. Of course, I also apologize to the witch. I'm sorry, Beatrice-sama. Please forgive an outsider's nonsense. I'll apologize as well. I'm sorry, Beatrice-sama. Will the witch be able to forgive us now? Sounds like a cat. Like, that sounds exactly like a cat. Like...
I mean, a cat can be a witch's familiar.
By relying on Maria, who was proud of knowing the most about witches, George was trying to revive her self-esteem. Once again, I've got to admire his ability to calm kids down. After taking a moment to cross her arms and seriously ponder whether there might be a charm that could save us, she started flipping through the pages in her notebook. I thought it was just a scribbled diary, but there also seemed to be quite a few pages that looked like they'd come from a book on black magic. Maria solemnly considered a group of these pages, which contained things that looked like magic circles. Apparently, Grandfather wasn't the only one with a black magic hobby. When Maria finally found what she was looking for, she snapped the notebook shut and threw it into her handbag. She then began fishing through that bag's contents. There seemed to be various jumbled up things in there. After a while, she took out various pieces of junk, although they were probably important magical items to Maria, and repeatedly threw them back in, saying they were wrong. It was all a little humorous, just like when Doraemon took out the wrong tool. I don't get that. I'm assuming it's some kind of anime or something, but...
Yeah, when Doraemon is basically an anime about this cat from the future who helps this kid out with different adventures and different like problems, and the cat always has like this new invention to try out and help the kid. And he has like this magic bag that he searches for the tools through.
Oh, okay.
And the anime was called Doraemon, I think.
That sounds cute. I'll have to see if I can find it in English for Cal or something sometime. He might like that.
It's an anime with a little blue cat.
Oh, I think I've seen a picture of him before, like, but I've never watched it. It's old, isn't it? Like 70s?
Like old, yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up. Anyway, finally, she seemed to discover what she was looking for. With a face that was unimaginably cheery when compared to the intense expression she had worn until now, she held those out to Jessica and me. Oh, I want to see the happy face. Aww, she's so cute.
It's adorable as all heck. I love it.
Oh yeah. I grabbed it and saw that it was a very cheap-looking charm. It looked like a bracelet made from a plastic rosary with a scorpion-themed medal attached. Haven't you ever seen those cheap Zodiac-themed accessories? The kind you might win at a crane game at an arcade. It really looks like something like that. There were two of them, probably one for me and one for Jessica. However, the very fact that there were two of them made them feel even more like cheap manufactured goods, making it pretty hard to think of them as magical items. You're giving these to me and Battler? Huh, really? Didn't know scorpions could do that. I'd said too much and angered Maria again. Maria took out her notebook again, pointing out various pages as she went on and on about how the scorpion had such incredible holy power that it had been used in magic-repelling magic circles since ancient times. I've heard about that from some of the other young servants. Something about how the scorpion is drawn as a magic-repelling symbol in sorcery. Huh, really?
The scorpion protects against bad magic and calamity. And emerald brings peace to the heart. Therefore, its effects are twofold.
It's true. The scorpion wraps around the emerald and protects it. Yes, that certainly does sound like it worked well.
I really wanted to make fun of those worthless-looking charms. God, Battler, stop! Just don't talk. Just
go through it. Just go with it for
Just
now.
take it and be nice.
Take it and shut up.
Right? But as I watched Maria explaining with all of her heart and realized that she'd found them for our sakes, I started to feel like it might actually work, even if it was just a prize from some game center. The material quality of the charm didn't matter. What mattered was the strength of her feelings. Cause that's how magic works, dude.
You dummy.
Like, even I don't think of myself as the sort of loser who'd laugh at something like that. Okay, thank you. I apologize to Beatrice-sama, but even if I do end up getting cursed, I'll be safe now thanks to Maria's charm. Right, Jessica? Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Maria.
Wear it on your arm when you want your heart to be at peace. Put it in your wallet and your money won't decrease. If you hang it from a doorknob, bad things can't get in. It's a really convenient charm.
What an incredible effect. If Maria-sama gives it her confident seal of approval, then it surely must be reliable. Shen and Chen clapped her hands together, and Maria stuck out her chest. She was totally in a good mood again. It's probably best if we let her lead the conversation a bit longer if it'll keep her in such a good mood. Come to think of it, she looked a bit bored when we were getting excited about the hidden gold, probably because she couldn't keep up. While eating the cookies Kumasawa-san had baked, Jessica and I asked Maria this and that about black magic. Maria happily chatted away in response to our questions. Each time, Georgianiki and Shannon-chan would act surprised or chime in. The clouds in the sky grew darker and darker, but we cousins really enjoyed communicating freely after a year of separation. Huh? I wonder. As Georgianiki rubbed his forehead, he looked up at the sky. Considering the color of the sky and the dampness of the air, it wouldn't have been odd for a raindrop to hit him. The wind also seemed to have grown a bit stronger.
I didn't feel a drop. Only I didn't.
Don't worry, neither did I. Anyway, I'm sure it'll rain so much tonight that everyone will get to feel plenty of raindrops.
That's right. Maybe we should head back soon.
Shannon-chan looked down at her watch. It was probably well into the evening by now. Is it already time for you to return to your work? Yes. Thank you very much for allowing me to enjoy some time together with you all.
Tell Kumasawa-san thanks for the cookies. Okay, everyone, help out with the cleanup.
George, you're such a good guy.
It's gonna be a sad time in this game when he goes.
Right? Shannon-chan declined our help, saying that this was a servant's job. I mean, if he goes, I don't know. I mean, I do know, but I can't say. Shannon-chan declined our help, saying that this was a servant's job, but picking up dropped forks before the waitress has to is pretty much my purpose in life. We folded up the blanket, gathered up the trash, and helped clean everything up.
The trash is getting away.
I won't let it escape. I'll grab it before Maria does.
I'll grab it.
I'm just picturing the two of them chasing after, like, some paper blowing down the beach, like... Maria! Don't get...
Children left behind.
Right? Don't get your shoes wet. You'll get in trouble. To Maria, chasing after some trash sent flying by the powerful winds was just another game. By the time we finished, the wind was blowing pretty strongly. Probably a good time to head back. You've all helped me out a lot. Thank you very much. Georgianiki perceived from her hurried appearance that very little of her free time was left. Genti sounds very strict about time. If you don't show up where you're supposed to be at the right time, I bet he'll be pissed. Yes. Then, if you will excuse me. After making a respectful bow, Shannon-chan ran towards the rose garden. Okay, let's head back to the guest house. We can watch TV or something and relax a little. Then it's decided. Let's all head back and watch TV together. Maria, who wasn't done having fun, agreed once television was mentioned. We climbed up the gentle stairs and returned to the rose garden. The wind had grown very strong and roses shook throughout the garden like ripples on the water. This might be our last chance to see these beautiful roses. I'll bet tonight's typhoon ruins them. These roses might be done in by tonight's winds. You're right. Still, I think the roses were pretty lucky. After all, they got to welcome all of you before the typhoon. That's right. Maria, burn this image into your eyes. At this moment, they're the best roses of the year. Right then, Maria suddenly clapped her hands. It looked like she'd remembered something. Oh, you mean that sad-looking rose Georgianiki marked with a ribbon? Maria apparently remembered where the rose was. She ran at full speed. The rest of us followed her. Where was that again? I'm sure it was somewhere around here. We searched everywhere around that area, but it was only a single flower among all of these roses after all. Even though we knew it was somewhere close by, we weren't able to find it. The winds making up the typhoon's front lines made roses throughout the garden undulate. It was almost like it was teasing us by making the location of Maria's rose impossible to find.
Maybe it wasn't here. Let's try spreading out a bit more search.
Sounds good. Let's go for strength in numbers. What's up, Maria? As we made to split up and search, Maria tugged on my jacket with an unhappy face. You could tell that she didn't want us to leave that spot. What is it? What's wrong?
My rose is here. It's here.
But it's actually not, right? Maybe it was on the other side of the flower bed. If we all look, we'll find it fast, okay?
It's here. My rose is here. Look for it.
Here comes the tantrum.
Yep.
Maria stopped her feet in irritation. Yup, I know how these go. But Cal's doesn't last very long, like a minute, and then he gets over it. He's sweet like that, but I've seen some kids, like my nieces and nephews, or nephew, I just have the one nephew, but they, oh my god, sometimes it goes on forever. She pointed at that spot and said it was definitely there, but in actuality, it wasn't. Even so, Maria got mad when we said we were going to search elsewhere. We were at a loss for what to do. For a while, we had to stay near Maria and pretend to search through that rose thicket. Maybe she's saying that it should be here, but isn't. Maria became increasingly irritated. Oh man, Maria's really losing her temper. Sometimes Maria starts to really care about really pointless stuff. Yet to you,
Not pointless.
right? If she gets what she wants, that's okay, but...
You can't find something that isn't there. That's not good.
I mean, could it have just, blown away? Because it was sick, right? So if the wind's blowing that bad, it could have just, been uprooted and off into the wind,
Gone with the wind and the typhoon.
Yep.
Rose.
Just when we were at a loss of what to do, Maria called out in a loud voice. We could see Aunt Rosa in the direction Maria was waving her hand. Maybe she wanted to look at the garden one more time before the typhoon came, or maybe she had some business at the guest house. Aunt Rosa was coming from the mansion. She quickly noticed her daughter's voice and came over.
My, what happened, everyone? Are you looking for something?
Look for it. Mommy, you look for my rose too.
We tied a candy wrapper around it. But Maria, if I remember correctly, it was growing right in front and really stood out, didn't it? Unless it grew legs and ran off somewhere, it must have been somewhere else. Maybe you remembered it wrong.
How many times do I have to tell you to stop saying before you understand? Mama will look for us, so stay quiet.
I'd never seen Aunt Rosa be anything other than kind and gentle, so her anger surprised me a bit. Aunt Rosa began searching as well, so we went along with her for the time being. But we were already more than sure that it wasn't around here. So it didn't take long for Aunt Rosa to realize that too.
The rose isn't here. Did you mistake this place for someone else? There are so many roses around. No! No! That's wrong! It is here! Mama doesn't believe! I already believed you and looked hard for it, didn't I? But it isn't here. But it is here! It is here! But it isn't! Then someone must have ripped it out. Anyway, stop saying ooh. Mama took my rose! Who did? Give it back! Give it back!
Okay, drink break time, cause that was a lot of ooh-oohs.
Excuse me. Oh, Lord, angry mother. How should I know? Stop it. Stop saying ooh.
Aunt Rosa slapped Maria's left cheek with her palm.
Oh, God, no.
In that instant, Maria was shocked into silence. Of course, it was only for an instant. When Maria realized that her wish was being rejected, she started yelling even louder.
Oh, no. Oh, no, I don't want to. She's crying.
Oh,
Oh, my God. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to ask this, but can you see? Can you see? Is there a way we can see?
the new one?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Oh, poor baby. I just want to hug her, like...
I just want to grab her in my arms, just go like, shh, it's okay. Your mom is just upset and she's crazy. She just had a bad moment with her family member, so she's a little crazy right now. It's okay.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, like, they don't know that the adults were having that conversation earlier. So, yeah.
Straight out of nowhere for them.
Yeah.
Alright, fine. Didn't I tell you to stop that weird habit? That's why all the kids in your class make fun of you. Cut it out.
Once again, her palm slapped Maria's cheek. This time she didn't go silent. She choked as she started crying and began to bawl in an increasingly loud voice. Yeah, it freaking hurts! Like, you bitch?
Children.
Yeah,
Please do not hurt
no,
children.
no,
No, don't do that.
no. Aunt Rosa was clearly irritated and lifted her hand once more to try and shut her daughter up. Aunt Rosa, now, she's just a little kid, so there's no reason to get so serious. I tried to cut in with a bitter smile, rubbing my hands together, but Aunt Rosa glared at me with a serious face, and I realized that I should have stayed out of this.
Or said something different. I'm sorry, but could the rest of you go back to your room for a minute? I need to have a little talk.
I want to see what Rosa looks like. Hold on. Oh yeah, she's pissed.
Oh,
Yeah, she looks mad. Yeah.
Yep.
Aunt Rosa once again raised her hand, overcome by emotion, and slapped Maria's cheek. It was strong enough to knock Maria over. Hey, Aunt Rosa, even if she is your daughter, violence isn't the answer. I stepped between
Finally,
them to
Battler
protect... Right?
speaks smartly.
Yeah. I stepped between them to protect Maria, who was still on the ground crying, ooh, ooh. I knew that, as an outsider, problems between parent and child were none of my business, but I wasn't brought up to just silently observe something like this.
Don't you think it's weird, Naku? Are there any girls at your school who know about you?
Well, I am in high school, but for an elementary schooler, I think saying ooh ooh is pretty cute.
Cute. Saying ooh is cute. Cute?
My careless words seemed to have earned me Aunt Rosa's wrath. She grabbed my collar with a terrifying expression.
Don't say such nonsense. Do you know how old Maria is? She's 9. She's a 4th grader, not a kindergartner. But she still makes that sound during class. Don't you get it? Do you know what they say about this kid when they bully her? Thanks to this weird habit, she still hasn't made a single friend. Don't turn your eyes from reality carelessly and call it cute. Think more seriously about this kid's future. I told you stop making that sound. Didn't I tell you to stop it?
Aunt Rosa struck Maria's quivering head, from which an increasingly unhappy voice was rising. I tried to stop it, but Aunt Rosa pushed me away. My back hit George and Nikki.
This is worry.
How
This is
sh-
worry.
Yeah. Keep in mind, like, I said before, Ryukishi, the guy that wrote this, used to be a social worker, so you'll see stuff like this in his work just because he, helped kids that were abused and stuff like that. So, he's got experience and he puts that stuff in his work to try to raise awareness about it. Because, here we talk about it, but over in Japan, not so much. It's not, really discussed like it is over here.
I feel bad picking on the mother now. I don't want to hit my child.
Right.
No.
Yeah. How she talks isn't really that big of a deal, right? Well, even I get chewed out by Mom all the time because of how I talk. When they put it that way, maybe even a scene as painful as this isn't something an outsider like me should butt in on. Well, one or two. On Parents' Day once, I kept getting yelled at in front of everyone. It was embarrassing as all hell. I don't think anyone likes to be seen when they're being scolded. Oh my god, no.
No,
No.
That's the stupid way.
Uh-uh.
No, something like this. You'll be lucky if she doesn't go mute.
Yeah.
That's probably for the best, isn't it?
We thought Georgianiki's point was probably a reasonable one, and we may have been eager to use that reasonable-sounding argument as a justification to retreat from this heart-rending scene. Jessica and I nodded at Georgianiki, and we all left. We called towards Maria, telling her that we were going to head to the guest house, but she didn't seem to hear, and we felt sort of guilty and shameless after saying it.
In that case, look by yourself as much as you want. Mama doesn't care. I'll look for it. I'll look for it by myself. Even if Mama doesn't care.
Have it your way.
After blasting her with those last few words, Rosa spun on her heels and quickly returned to the mansion. Maria probably viewed that as a cold gesture meant to injure, but that wasn't Rosa's intention. It was because the hand with which she had so emotionally struck Maria's cheek was still numb. It was because, if she stayed there screaming, she might again be taken over by her emotions and continue slapping her daughter's cheek over and over. After Rosa left, Maria was left alone in the rose garden. The wind began to blow stronger and stronger, and every once in a while a raindrop would fall on her forehead. However, Maria couldn't leave that place. Not until she found that poor wilting rose. It had definitely been there. Even so, it wasn't. Even though she knew the place, and even though it had been there, it wasn't. Maria bitterly stared at the place it was supposed to be and thought frantically, maybe the angle I'm looking from is wrong. Maybe the height I'm looking from is wrong. While gazing at a single point, Maria repeatedly stood up, changed her position, and continued to stare. The wind was getting stronger and stronger, but Maria kept on looking for that rose in front of the flower bed.
Okay, excuse me. I'm gonna go cry for a minute.
Poor Maria. Like, poor
If
baby.
she got took, I'm gonna be so upset.
Keep in mind they're on an isolated island, and it's just the family and the servants there, so...
That means nothing. That means nothing.
Kinzo noticed the sound of the raindrops beating on the window. It seemed to be pouring down thickly. It had begun to rain later than the weather report had predicted. Kinzo approached the window as if being summoned by the sound of the rain. The sound of rain is the sound of silence. That sound feels quieter than any silence. It makes humans remember that, in the end, they are alone from the moment they're born to the moment they die.
You're late, Beatrice.
Were those words directed at the rainy sky? There was no one to be seen in the direction of Kinzo's gaze.
Well then, let us begin. Let us begin our banquet of miracles. This island has now been cut off from the world. Now, the world begins from my ceremony. Four of my children. Victory over that roulette. Yes, I'll put everything on the line. First, I'll return the inheritance of the Ushiromiya family. Accept it!
Kinzo tore the window open, ripped a golden ring off his finger, and forcefully threw it away. At that time, the sound of thunder rang out, giving the illusion that the lightning had accepted the ring.
Oh, damn.
Alright. That
Now
is
we're
it.
gonna get into the freaky stuff.
Yeah. That is the end of that chapter, and that's where we're gonna leave you guys. Because I'm terrible like that.
We love leaving you on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Alright. I wonder if there's any more tips. Let me see. No, just this. Just epitaph.
Can I say my thing that I found out? Like, most of the people probably already figured this out by now.
Yeah, let me save and close the game out so people can hear you a bit better. Just because... That's it. Okay.
Okay, so if you guys are still having trouble, what I figured out, and most of you probably figured this out by now because you guys had a week, but if you if you understand Japanese and when it says that 6 people are needed to find the key, it's not talking about people. It's talking about like Japanese character. So somewhere in the epitaph there are 6 characters that help show where the Golden Land is located and what the key it is. So once you find the 6 characters, then the location of the Golden Land should be easier.
Yeah, yeah. It's really complicated. I even went onto the wiki, just to refresh my memory, because it's been a while. But you're close. You're very, very close. Um, you definitely can't, like, you know how Battler was like, oh, let's just skip the first part. You can't skip the first part.
You can't.
You can't. You really, really can't.
Because the first part's important.
Yes, the first part is extremely important because it sets up, like, um, it sets up the answer, basically, is all I can really say. But this is just this is just the first episode, so as the story goes on, because we're on the question arcs right now. So the way the When They Cry series works is there's always 4 question arcs, and then there are 4 answer arcs. So the question arcs, as it goes along, you get more information to the mystery or the riddle or whatever it is. So by the time you get to the end of all the question arcs, you have all the information you need to be able to solve it. Some people, they're able to solve it and figure it out on their own. Other people are not, like myself, but that's because I have a tendency to, like, when I'm reading a story, I'm not trying to, like, I guess, look, like, too deeply in it. I just like to enjoy the story for what it is.
You don't want the lore. You just want the story at face
Yeah.
value.
Well, I like lore. Not necessarily lore,
Like, you don't mind not knowing a lot of the background.
it, like with this, I don't want to spoil too much. But the I can't even explain it without spoiling the whole thing. Um, like there's two kinds of people. There's the people that like Umineko because they want to solve the riddle, and that's what's important to them, is solving the riddle. Then you've got the other camp, which is the camp that I'm part of, where don't really care so much about solving the epitaph. It's more about the characters, like who they are, how they grow, like what happens to them, things like that, like seeing their stories get played out.
And then you have people like me who just want to be like, okay, I can see what the problems with this family are, and their comeuppance is coming by. Here's my bucket of popcorn, and here's my sippy sip a sip stuff. Who's gonna get whacked first?
The beginning it is slow, but as the story goes on, you are gonna get attached to the characters. Like I will say it a million times. You guys will get sick of me saying this, but this is my like absolute favorite visual novel, and I've read quite a few. Like nothing tops this for me. Like it's so well written. It's so good. Like I have so much love for all of these characters, and being able to read this with you, Kit, and read this with everyone watching. Yeah, this is a really great treat for me because it's so good. I have so many
Well,
fills.
that's what this is. So this is just a treat. This
It's
is a
yeah,
wonderful treat.
this is a treat for me. Um, Especially with the coronavirus and all that shit and work being crazy, and a lot of people are in quarantine and all of that, and plus I just moved, so it's like it sometimes you gotta have something a bit more mellow to kind of just relax a
I
little
mean, this
bit.
isn't. This probably really isn't mellow. If it's a horror
Well,
mystery.
yeah, compared to Outlast and Layers of Fear, this is
It's
mellow.
mellow. It's
So,
mellow.
but all right, guys. Thank you all for watching. Please, if you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. If you're watching this on Twitch, go ahead and give me a follow. I can't get subscriptions yet because I'm not an affiliate, but yeah, definitely follow me so I can get there. That'd be nice. Um, and you can also support me on Patreon at patreon.com/insanityizgood. And also, huge thank you to Rox for designing the thumbnail, which Twitch doesn't like the file size, but you can see the thumbnail that she designed on the YouTube videos. It's beautiful. I love it. I squealed in my kitchen when I saw it. Um, but yeah, I hope you guys have a good weekend and a good night. And remember, stay safe, wash your hands, and if you don't have to, just stay home.
Wear your mask if you're going outside, please.
Yes, please. Please.
There are beautiful masks out there. Show them off to the people.
Yeah, I'm gonna be wearing my ACDC mask tomorrow at work. Because we have ACDC fabric now, which is awesome.
Rock out and be safe.
Yeah. Alright, have a good night, guys.